Welcome to Unjustified, where we always cover the truth, the facts, the good, the bad, the ugly, on an unbiased and sometimes very unpopular opinion. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe now and hit the notification bell, and that way you will receive all of our upcoming videos. Thank you so much for being here, and we do hope you enjoy today's video. Boy, 14 years old, has been charged with the and murder of his little cousin, Lily Peters, is actually the son of a convicted pedophile. Adam Berger, 37 years old, has spent 3 years in jail after being caught with a large stash of porno images of pre-adolescent girls on his phone. Son, Carson Berger, 14 years old, is now facing a possible life sentence after being charged with 3 accounts over Lily's death: first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree SA, and first-degree SA of a child. Documents show that Adam Berger had 10 porno photos showing very, very young girls in spread legs positions, and they were found on his phone. Some of them had been doctored to include comments like, quote, "First in your little girl's a-hole, and then in your mouth, Mom," end quote. Some of these photos even had his face photoshopped in them. Other pictures showed the children semi-dressed. Among them was one showing a girl in a green feather boa and black high heels, and another girl wearing a pink tutu skirt. All of these disgusting pictures showed children's genitalia, according to the court papers. He also had drug paraphernalia, including 4 crack pipes in his home. In court, prosecutors said that Carson had planned to and kill little Lily from the get-go when he left the house with the victim to go down the trail. The district attorney, Wade Newell, added that he punched Lily in the stomach, knocked her to the ground, essentially strangled her, hit her with a stick before strangling her to the point of death. Before he'd done all that, he had SA'd her. And at this time, Adam Berger is currently living in a halfway house in Eau Claire after being released from Oshkosh Correctional Institution in April of 2021. He remains on supervised probation and is on the SO registry. He and his attorneys had opposed extended probation because he would not have had unsupervised visits with his son, who he describes in a letter as being, quote, "the best of me," end quote. Other letters that he filed in support of his bid to regain unsupervised contact with his son described as an unhappy child who never smiled and looked miserable in the company of his own mother, Lori Davis. When Adam was sent to jail in May of 2018, Carson's life was shattered, according to his grandmother and their family friend, Katie. His grandmother said, "Carson has not very happy with his father being gone." The family friend is actually accusing Carson's mom of being a bad mom, saying that we have seen him out and about with this mom and he just never looks happy. He doesn't smile. He's always quiet and just looks at the ground and doesn't even talk. She also limited Carson's contact with Adam's friends and family. Carson was born from a brief relationship from Adam and his mother, who is the sister of Lily's father. Lily's father reported her missing at 9 p.m. on Sunday when she failed to return home from visiting her aunt. Carson's mother is now in a relationship with convicted fraudster John Repetto, 50. He lives in the home where Lily was last seen with Carson. Carson's mom and dad seem to have a pretty rocky relationship, and they split when Carson was 2 years old, and his mother sued his father for child support in 2010. In 2017, before he was convicted of the child porn offenses, But after he had been arrested and charged, Carson's mom called the police over an incident where he had drove his car towards her, trying to hit her. And at the time of this taking place, Carson was 8 years old. And even though Adam was not allowed to be alone with his son unsupervised, they were both in the vehicle together. Carson's mother did sustain injuries from him trying to run over her with this car. She rolled off of the hood and she ended up on the ground. When he was sent to jail, all physical contact ceased. But in a jailhouse letter, Adam said he emailed with his son every day, spoke to him regularly while he was with his grandmother, and emailed him a crochet blanket that he had made him in prison. He said that he dreamed of a future being with his son Carson, adding that he wanted unsupervised contact with his son because he is not a victim of my offenses. He said, "My son is the best part of me." Now, this motion was denied, and it is unclear whether Adam has seen his son since the release on extended probation and supervision in April of last year. Now, Lily lived less than a half a mile from her aunt's home, and she was discovered laying a little way off a bike trail on Monday morning. Now, locals to the area said that she was often seen just cycling down the path on her bike, which was found close to her body. The spot where she was discovered is close to the Jacob Brewing Company, which sits on the bank of Star Lake. The location is within view of a row of houses on the other side of the 23-acre lake. And just like her cousin Carson, 10-year-old Lily was also a child of a broken home, and she lived with her father, Alex, who has a string of convictions for drug and alcohol offenses, including several DUIs. And Carson's mother also has multiple convictions of drug offenses, all dating from at least 2 years before Carson was even born. And she was also arrested for domestic battery in December of 2005 following a domestic dispute with her then husband. Also, Lily's mother, Jennifer Irely, she is currently on probation after being convicted of multiple accounts of theft, including stealing 4 of her own mother's credit card and racking up a bill totaling almost $8,000. She also conned her aunt and uncle out of $10,000 by inventing fake jobs for them. She was even conducting false interviews. She was doing this to try to get a hold of their banking account details. Now, she also remains on probation. She split from Adam in 2018, and in January, she moved more than 60 miles away to a tiny little village in Balsam Lake. This is so horrific. Lily is such a beautiful little girl, and her life taken short at only 10 years old by her own cousin, who was 4 years older, Carson. And this is Lily's aunt's house that she left that day on her bicycle and never returned home. Lily's aunt is Carson's mother. Carson is now being held on a $1 million bond. Now, this is a letter that Carson's father wrote from prison to a judge, and he was begging to be allowed unsupervised visits with Carson, who he described, as we said, the best part of me. It says, "I am writing this letter for my son Carson. I am asking that unsupervised contact be permitted. I have 50% placement and custody. Carson is 12 now and will be 13 upon my release. My son and I have always been close. His mother and I split apart when Carson was about 2 years old. I found myself raising this little boy, and I had no idea what I was doing." Well, that's pretty obvious. "It was tough at first, and I stumbled a bit, but I learned to balance working at the hospital and teaching karate around having Carson 50% of the week. I have always been in contact with his teachers. We would go through his backpack, doing all homework and his required reading. We love to fish, hike, go to the movies, and play video games together. We have always done everything together, and he is a great worker and loves to help around the house. He works hard and plays even harder. After I was sentenced, my mother was granted grandparents' rights. She gets Carson 1 weekend a month, and while Carson is with her, I get to speak with him on the phone several times that weekend. We talk about school, friends, movies, and video games. I make him laugh almost as much as he makes me laugh. The rest of the month, when he is with his mother, we email each other every day. He writes me about his day and about school, and he asks me to write about funny stories from when he was little. He draws me pictures and makes cards for me on the holiday. I send him paintings and drawings. I've also learned how to crochet and made him a 6-foot by 6-foot blanket for his bed. I always let him know that I'm thinking of him and that we will have a future together. Carson is my #1 priority. I had 2 years after my arrest before I was sentenced. I was ordered to have a chaperone present while I had Carson. I had him every weekend and days. Nick Mahoney and Katie Weathers and my mother, Mary, chaperoned. Thanks to them, I never willingly missed a day with Carson. It was and would be a hardship to go through supervised visits again, and I think more of one for Carson, especially now that he is a teenager. I understand the reason for the court-imposed condition as far as protecting society and allowing my supervising agent to monitor contact with minors. The wording of the condition might create the impression that I can have contact with other minors with agent approval, but that I may not have contact with my son unless I have a chaperone. Since my son is not a victim of my offense, and since I have not committed a child SA, this condition could be more narrowly tailored so that it doesn't end up being such a hardship on my son. I implore this court to allow me unsupervised contact with my son so we can get back to a routine and normalcy. My son is the best part of me. Thank you for your time, Adam Berger. And his criminal complaint that I will not read. Feel free to screenshot it, pause it, and I will not be reading this. And of course, more explanation to what was found on his phone. Again, I will not be reading this. Seeing that this POS is Carson's dad and Lily's uncle, it does make me about many things. Rest in peace, Lily. I'm sorry your life was so broken. Fly high.
Investigators today revealed disturbing new details about what happened to 10-year-old Lily Peters. Her body was found in Chippewa Falls this week, not far from her aunt's home.
The juvenile arrested for the murder of Lily Peters appeared in court via video from a juvenile detention center in Eau Claire. District Attorney Wade Newell told Judge Lane that the 14-year-old defendant told law enforcement he went with Lily Peters on the walking trail Sunday with the intent and kill her.
When he did get off of the trail, punched the victim in the stomach, knocked her to the ground, essentially strangled her, hit her with a stick before strangling her to the point of death before he then sexually her.
The 14-year-old suspect faces 3 felony charges, first-degree murder and 2 charges of sexual assault. 2 of the charges have a maximum penalty of life in prison. The defendant, who law enforcement say knew Lily, has dark hair and kept his head down during the hearing. He did not address the court. His attorneys asked for a $100,000 bail.
He is 14 and an 8th grader. He cannot drive.
But the prosecutor wanted a $1 million cash bond, which the judge granted. Multiple law enforcement sat in the gallery of the courtroom. It did not appear any of Lily's family were present.
The district attorney said that under Wisconsin law, this case will automatically start in adult court, but the defense can ask to have it moved. The next hearing will be on May 5th.
Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave us a comment below on your thoughts of this video. And until next time, this is UnJustified.